So, you know how I said in my last review that my thoughts have not changed much since I first reviewed that movie? Well, yeah, it's the same case here. My thoughts haven't really changed much since I initially saw it. And, apparently my opinion on this is a bit of a hot take. So, keep this in mind before you come for my head. This is a great film, again. Okay? Understand that. But as a sequel, it has some problems that we need to discuss. So let's take it step by step. What's up? What's happening? What's going on? Welcome back to Anime Station. I'm Mr. Van, animation, including TV and movies as well. Welcome back to DC Live Volume 2. Here's my review of Superman 2. It's a bit of a hot take, but I can promise you right now, it is positive. So please don't come from my head. Here's my review, I hope you enjoy. Many people hail this as one of the greatest sequels in comic book movies of all time, but I can't say I quite agree. This is a great movie, absolutely, without a single doubt, but as a sequel, it's a little bit underwhelming and pretty overrated. Before you ask, yes, I do know about the Donner cut, but to remain consistent with the rest of these reviews, I'm only talking about the original theatrical version. Will I do another review of the Donner cut sometime in the future? Maybe. If you guys want it, let me know in the comments. If you want it, I'll consider it. So here's all the pros. The love story with Superman and Lois is genuinely sweet. It is genuinely a very sweet and touching, beautiful, romantic love story. Feels like it was taken straight out of the comics. The storytelling is still adult. I mean, you have Superman conflicting with himself whether or not to stay this nearly indestructible being or become mortal and live a normal life. It's such an interesting, unique adult story. It just so happens that it also has a lot of cheesiness in it, but we'll get there when we get there. But storytelling is still plenty adult. The battles are fun. The visual gags are pretty funny. The ending is a lot better than the first one. There's no spinning the earth around backwards bullcrap this time. Thank goodness. Superman's character development is very good in this movie, and the music is still great. Here's my problems, though. It's still very long, and unlike the first one, it doesn't fit the story as well as it did before, causing a few scenes to drag. The pacing is even slower than it was in the first. In my opinion, that's a bad thing, but if it's a good thing in your opinion, I will not hold it against you. The directing is a bit less focused than before, and that's because it's not Richard Donner this time. It's a different director, I forget his name, but I mean, the directing's still good, but Donner, nailed it in the first Superman, so having him just replaced because of some creative differences during production by some other guy, yeah, you can tell the difference, to say the least. Directing's still really good. I just feel like Donner did a better job at directing this kind of movie. Just a personal preference thing. The directing's a bit less focused. Some scenes are still really cheesy. This was made in the early 80s. And it doesn't have quite the same amount of rewatch value. With the first Superman, I can pop that movie in anytime and still have a great time. With 2, on the other hand, I kind of have to be in the right mood for it. If I'm in the perfect mood, I can also really enjoy this sequel. But otherwise, most of the time, I'm just going to watch the first and leave it at that. It's not that this movie's bad, absolutely not. Like I said at the beginning of this review, this movie is positive in my opinion. This is a positive review. It just doesn't quite have that same amount of rewatchability that the first one did, in my personal opinion. Also, I forgot to put this down, I'm sorry. Zod is a good villain, but his 2 henchmen are very flat. They felt like they were just being used for comedic value, and yeah, the visual gags with them are funny, but outside of that, in fighting Superman in one scene, what do they really do ultimately? Like, Zod is really good here, absolutely, but I just wish the other two that were with him had more personality and more character outside of, we are evil henchmen, we serve this guy to serve plot. Not bad characters, I just wish they had character. Overall, it is a great movie, but it's one of those movies where after seeing it once or twice, there's not much incentive to watch it again. Just a personal preference thing. I've seen this movie about twice now, and yeah, I feel content with that, honestly. Will I buy it on DVD? Maybe, but again, I'm just not going to watch it as much as I watched the first. Like, the first I've seen at least 5 times at this point. I really like the first. This one, it's great, but after 1 or 2 watches, I feel content. And because of that, my final verdict for this movie is going to be an 8 out of 10. Definitely a recommendation if you haven't seen it yet, but it's very much a one and done. Just my personal opinion. I know a lot of people feel very differently, but in my opinion, great movie, just lacks in rewatch value. But hey, it's Oscar-worthy compared to what we have to review next, because now we gotta get into one of the bad ones. Joy. See you next time for the pile of trash that is Superman 3.
We cannot take it anymore. The time has come. Prepare, finally ready for.